Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new episode of What's in Your Food. Today we're going to go on to part 2 of the vitamin B12. We're going to talk about the actual sources that it comes from within our nature. And I'm not talking about the animals, I'm talking about the plant sources. Now this is just a few of them. I've got more videos coming, so please follow, like, and share for more information on vitamin B12 and where to get it from our planet. So this is a study off of the NIH.gov for vitamin B12 containing plant food sources for vegetarians. This is public available information. I'm only going to cite some of it as I can only read so much of it within the fair dealing law. It's got to be 10% or less. So that's what I'm going to do today. It is a very long study. It is a lot of reading. And there are actual examples in there that I would love to share, but please just go to the website. You can type this in yourself and you can check it out. Now this is by Fumio Watanabe and Yuki Nori Yabuta and Fitang. So credit to them. Great job. And we need some more of this information. So please get out there and do some research on some more plants. I really love this one and it has helped me with my life big time. Next slide. So at the beginning here, it does say in the abstract, the usual dietary sources of vitamin B12 are animal-derived foods, although a few plant-based foods contain substantial amounts of vitamin B12. Now, when they say a few, it's because we haven't tested all plants on this planet, not for B12. And soils as well, they have done some, but they haven't done fully investigating in that at all. Now, next slide. Vitamin B12 is synthesized only by certain bacteria, which I did mention in the first video. E. coli is one of them. Healthy E. coli does help synthesize the B12 in the soil in order for the plants to absorb it. And is primarily concentrated in the bodies of predators located higher in the food chain. Now, what I did explain in the first video as well is that higher in the food chain have concentrated levels of it in their liver and in their bodies because they're consuming those at the lower chain that are consuming higher quantities of that. Hence, that's how they get their vitamin B12. Just like us, when we eat the animal, that's how we get our vitamin B12. So the same thing happens with these predators when they're eating the herbivores, and when the herbivores are eating the plants, and the plants are eating the soil nutrients. That's the food chain of life. So that's where we get it from. That's when we're skipping the middleman and getting it straight from the source. But unfortunately, that's not how every day is now. Vitamin B12 is known to be the sole vitamin that is absent from plant-derived sources. Foods, meats, milk, eggs, fishes, and shellfish derived from animals are the major dietary sources of vitamin B12. So if you know what this said there, you're going to say right away, well, there's none in plants. No, you got to read things properly to understand what they're trying to say, because that's not at all what they are saying here. It says vitamin B12 is well known to be sole vitamin that is absent from plants. That's of course, because every single place online that is trying to tell us where B12 comes from that sells a dietary supplement is pushing that we don't get it from plants. So therefore, it's well known everywhere that we don't get it from there. But this study shows that we do get it from plants. And a lot of other studies I found that show we get it from other plants. So all those sources that are telling that are misguiding everybody on where to get your B12, and it's for the consumption of dietary supplements. It's all about money. Next slide here. The frequencies of the deficiency among vegetarians are estimated at 62%, 25 to 86%, 21 to 41%, and 11% to 90%. That's such a wide variety and sporadic numbers that are up and down. Almost seems like the study is insufficient, that it wasn't done properly on certain people, and that certain people may be consuming additives that are harming their body, and the absorption is not absorbing it right. And when I say vegetarians, yes, you do consume 4 to 5 foods. You do consume those almond milks and all those things from the vegan aisle that has additives in it that are medications and drugs and chemical compounds. Did you know the natural flavor is in its trade secret ingredient which means they don't have to tell you what is in that ingredient. Did any vegetarian or vegan know that? And if you did, are you reading it as a natural flavor? It's going to be okay. Did you know natural flavor can be used as human hair? That's one of them. Did you know the vanilla flavor can be used from castor, from the beaver's glands? Did you know that animal byproducts can be used as a flavor and they don't have to tell you because it's a natural flavoring? There's no law stating that we have to abide by the rules for a vegan or a vegetarian with the natural flavor in their products that is stated natural flavor on the label. There's no law stating they have to tell you, hence why they label it as natural flavor. So with all the poisons and all the medications and chemicals that have been barely tested within our food system, you're going to tell me there may not be any of these animal byproducts within that natural flavoring as just to mess with the vegans and vegetarians? Just saying, food for thought, if that's what you want to call it. Next slide here. Nutritional characteristics, characterizations of vegetarian diets. So I just wanted to bring this, that vegetarians are usually rich in carbohydrates and 6 polysaturated fatty fats, dietary fibers, carotenoids, fulvic acid, vitamin C, vitamin E, and magnesium. Now, they say we're relatively low in proteins, but when you look at protein, we're not made to be buff. Protein comes from plants, and I've made this point several times from our so-called evolution of the ancestors with monkeys. Did you know monkeys only consume meat 9 days out of the year? They are vegetarians. They eat a lot of bark, they eat a lot of rocks, they eat a lot of plants, fruits, vegetables, whatever they can get. That's how they survive. But they're buff. What about our horses and bulls and oxes and pigs? They all eat plants, people. They're not eating other meats. So this whole thing about us lacking protein, no, it's because bodies of humans are supposed to be like this. We're not supposed to be big and buff, full of steroids and protein shakes. We're not. I hate to say it, but we're not. So we aren't we aren't low in protein, that's for sure. In my diet, the additive-free diet with no meats, no dairies, no breads or pastas, I maintain my BMI at 160. It goes up when I eat my food. When I poop, it comes right back down to 160. It's been like that for 2 years. So how does one lack protein when your body is maintaining its weight? That's my question to anybody who writes anything to do about protein. Are we just assuming that guys should be big and buff, full of these muscles like the bodybuilders? Or is that a misperception on how humans are supposed to be? Or is it because we walk around, we see people with chubby cheeks, chubby butts, chubby bellies, and that's just normalized? So we now normalize people being obese. We now normalize people taking steroids and protein shakes in high concentrations as being a normal human being. Just some food for thought again. But we also lack the fatty acids, saturated fatty acids, like the 3 saturated fatty acids, vitamin A, vitamin B12, vitamin D3, zinc, iron, and calcium. All false. And why I say this is false is because I don't lack any of that. I have 0 symptoms of these things being low in my body. And no, I'm not going to go to a doctor. Last time I went to the doctor twice now, they didn't get back to me. So that lost hope for me to go. And when I get about blood tests, I don't believe they need about 5 vials of blood just to do a test for a vitamin. What are they doing with that blood? They're taking way too much. We know you can put a little bit of blood underneath the microscope and you could test for these things. You can put a little bit of blood into one of these machines and separate it into those things. You can research how those things work. Then you can see that those places are taking too much blood. On to the next slide here. However, vitamin B12 deficiency may go undetected in vegetarians because their diets are rich in folic acid, which may mask vitamin B12 deficiency until several health problems occur. But we do know that we store for several years a good amount of it. And then we won't even see those symptoms. But when they do these tests, is it on an additive-free diet? Someone who doesn't consume meat, dairy, bread, any candies, any of those things? None of those candies, none of those ice creams, none of those vegan foods from the vegan aisle. Straight from the land. Have we ever tested this to get the correct answer in a pure additive-free vegan diet, if you want to call it? But vegans still go on supplements. They don't go straight off the earth. Do we know that? That is the question. Here I am 2 years later. I'm still asking. Because people have told me you're B12 deficiency, man. You need your shot. You need your dairy supplement. You need meat in you. But all the reading I've done, I am relying on, and I am going by based off of my results. My results. My health. That's what tells me the truth. Not studies that are done off people who are consuming these medications, drugs, and chemical add-ons in their foods. Natural flavor being one of them, artificial flavor being another. We don't know what those are. Especially artificial flavor consists up to 90 different chemicals. What do we know what those chemicals do to our body if the company doesn't have to disclose it? Every single human being on this planet should be talking about that. Fragrance, perfume, spice, natural flavor, artificial flavor are all trade secret ingredients. But that's how you get away with poisoning people. That's how you get away with stuff that's affecting the body that we don't know what's in it. Because they are not telling us. And if we're not being told how we are supposed to diagnose a problem with a chemical or an additive that's in our body that we don't even know what it is. Even trace amounts. Do we know if it's bioaccumulative? Does it accumulate in our organs, in our tissues, in our cells, in our nucleides, all those things? In our brain? We don't know. And that could be a very, very big problem that we all should be focusing on. Next slide. Vitamin B12 enriched beans and vegetables produced using organic fertilizer and hydroponics. Now, I did dig deep into this study and other studies to do with soils, like clays, sand, fertilizer, manure, mulch. All those things affect the way a plant absorbs its minerals or vitamins and contains it. Same within the waters. Different sources of waters, different parts of the world contain different levels of vitamins and minerals. Mosafar, which is the person who did the study, his first name starts with an A, demonstrated that adding an organic fertilizer such as cow manure significantly increased the vitamin B12 content of spinach leaves. Approximately 0.14 UG 100 grams fresh weight. That's not dried weight, that's just fresh weight. You can read the rest there, but they say that you wouldn't be able to eat enough spinach to get your daily meal. But that's not all you're going to eat. You're not going to have just spinach, a big pile of spinach. We're not feeding you like a cow, which the industries are, because you're eating cereals, which cows eat the cereals too. Horses eat cereals. Those are grains. So children are being raised like cattle. You're eating cereals like cattle. But that's for a whole nother discussion. Next slide. Vitamin B12 enriched vegetables by treating them with a solution that contains high levels of vitamin B12. This resulted in significant increases in the plant's vitamin B12 contents. This means plants absorb it and they hold it, and that is proof it's within our planets, and it doesn't come from the meat source. It comes from the planets, or the planet, with the plants. Everything that grows out of the ground will consume it, will obtain it, just like any other mineral or vitamin. It does the same thing. So that's something you guys should at least look at and research further into the soils and plants, because you'll find answers. I've got a long list of plants and vegetables and fruits and nuts and stuff like that contain vitamin B12. A long list with studies proving it. It's not just a list I picked out. So if you're eating this throughout your day, 3 meals a day, you get quite a bit within the day. You only need 2.4 UGs. So if you got something that's 0.8 or 0.14, but you got all those within your meals, 3 meals a day, you can even get off with 1 meal a day and still do it. I'm a big eater, and people on my live on TikTok, they watch me live all the time on TikTok. I go every day and I cook my food every single day. They see me eat 3 large plates of food and not gain a pound, but get all the minerals and vitamins that I need. Explain that one. Next slide. Fermented beans and vegetables. The vitamin B12 contents of soybeans are low or undetectable. So they didn't say there's none in it at all, and they didn't say it's undetectable or untraceable, meaning trace amounts. It just says it's low. What is low to us? We don't know. But even if it's low or not, we're not going to eat just soybeans, 100 grams of soybeans. 100 grams isn't much of soybeans, just to be honest with you. However, fermented soybean-based food called tempeh, remember this from the first video? I highlighted it on the NIH fact sheet for health professionals. It says it has 0.1 per serving in it. Remember I said that? Now here it says tempeh contains a considerable amount of vitamin B12, 0.7 to 8.0 UGs per 100 grams. In a study it said that, but the health officials who are telling you that it doesn't contain it, right there tells you that chart is false. Okay? I got more to prove that. Bacterial contamination during the tempeh production may contribute to the increase of vitamin B12 content in tempeh, which we already know bacteria helps produce it in the soil. So of course, when you start fermenting things and you get those healthy bacteria on there, yes, it's going to create a vitamin B12 content. And this can happen with any vegetables. I found other stuff on this as well for fermenting. Great information, which will be part of these videos. So please follow, like, and share because I got more to come. Next slide. So we're going right back to that website that we showed you in part 1 in case you missed it. You didn't know what I was talking about tempeh. NIH.gov. Vitamin B12 fact sheet for health professionals. Next slide. As you can see at the top there, I highlighted food, milligrams per serving. Next slide. What is this? Tempeh, half cup, 0.1. So why is it at the bottom of that list? It should be up above the eggs. But it's at the bottom of the list, along with the rest of the vegetables that absorb vitamin B12 and other minerals and vitamins. Just food for thought again. Next slide. Only trace amounts of vitamin B12 were found in broccoli, asparagus, Japanese butterbur, mung bean, sprouts, tussled jute, and water shield. But how do we test this? Was it in raw? Was it covered in soil still? Unwashed? Or was it dried out? Is it per 100 grams of serving? It didn't say that in here at all. But fermented Korean vegetables of vitamin B12 was 0.1 UG of kimchi, which people eat. High vitamin B12, approximately 10 UG, 100 grams, enriched vegetable products tend to be produced by fermentation with certain lactic acid or propontic bacteria, or proponic bacteria. So therefore, vegetables that are lacking the right soil nutrients based on the type of soil used should be fermented after buying it to produce your vitamin B12. So for all those vegans or vegetarians and people wanting to get healthy and want to know where to get their vitamin B12 get off supplements, yes, you got to put some work into it, but eating healthy does not come easy. But once you get the pattern down and the routine, it becomes a daily part of your life. Therefore, it doesn't become difficult anymore. So learning things like this will help you succeed in your health. You just got to do the research, people. You can go to a dietitian, you can go to a doctor or a pharmacist or anybody you want. They're not going to give you this information because they haven't read deeply into it. And what they're reading in a textbook at their university or their college is not telling them this. Sure, they say eat more whole foods, but they still recommend dietary supplements. If you're lacking this, then eat this. I think none of those people should ever be recommending those at all unless you're in dietary need of your body getting into the state where you can't absorb it because of what you've been eating. So the pills may work for that. But those pills still should be produced with no fillers in them, with no food colorings in them. It should be 100% natural. And we should have at least that trust between the company providing it and us, the consumers, in order to make that happen properly. But we already know with what's in our food, who can we trust these days? People are all about money. It's got nothing to do with our health. There's 8 billion of us on this planet. So many people are suffering from so many diseases. We don't even know where it's coming from. But I believe I've discovered where it comes from. I just need more people on my team to help me. Reach out to me. My email's on my website. Reach out to me and let's see what we can do together. Next slide. Vitamin B12 is formed in various types of tea leaves. As I said, the tree bushes, they absorb B12 from the soils, especially out in the wild, more so. In a forest that is covered away from all these toxins. Because the big tall trees are canopies. Call them canopies because they block the toxins from hitting the bottom stuff, which is our foods. Then it gets filtered through their trunks and then down into the roots and helps feeds the soil as well. Anybody ever heard of birch trees? You could drink the water from a birch tree that is absorbed from the rainwater because it goes through a filtering system within the tree. So you tap it at the bottom, you'll get fresh nutrient water. So many studies on that, so many videos on that you can go and watch. Probably one of the best sources of water besides your natural spring water. But Japanese fermented black tea drank 50 millimeters a day in deficient rats. Basically what they're saying here is it lowered the risk of deficiency based on that black tea being fermented. I drink fermented black tea. Really tasty. Actually tastes almost like a rose. And it does come from a tree, which I'll get you guys to all go look at that as well, but it's amazing. Next slide. High levels of vitamin B12 were detected in the commercial available dry shiitake mushrooms, fruiting bodies. 100 grams of dried weight significantly varied, and the average of vitamin B12 value was approximately 5.61 UGs per 100 grams of dry weight. Now 100 grams is not very much. If you're eating large amounts of foods, which I do in healthy foods, you're going to get the right minerals, the right vitamins. And you're not going to overdo it to where you get fat or unhealthy. That's what I've learned in these last 2 years. On this next page here, lion's mane mushroom fruiting bodies also contain considerable amounts of vitamin B12. So we're now starting to see that plants and vegetables and things are obtaining vitamin B12, and that's where our sources are supposed to be coming from. This is just a small list, people. I've got another video coming with more. Next slide. Although the ingestion of such large amounts of these mushrooms fruiting our bodies would not be possible on a daily basis. Anybody out there ever eaten magic mushrooms? Just asking. I've eaten quite a bit of them before. Quarters, half ounces. That's 14 grams. If you divide this 100 grams up, okay, or the 50 grams, that's what they talk about here, 50 grams. 50 grams would be sufficient enough to 2.4. That's what it equals out to. So you divide the 50 grams, it's about 12.5 per quarter, okay? Then you divide the 2.4 into 4. That comes out to 0.6 UGs. Once again, to have a half ounce of mushrooms, grind it up, dried, would be easily consumable on a daily basis, especially on your supper. Okay? That will give you 0.6 UGs, not to mention the rest of your meal. And you're going to see what else you could put in your meal, just in this alone, that will help you get that. We can't just focus on eating just the one thing. That's not the way to focus on things. We need to focus on a meal incomplete and your breakfast and then your snacks at nighttime, which are your nuts, seeds, and legumes. Or your nuts and seeds, sorry. That's what you eat at nighttime for a snack. That's what I eat. Popcorn, freshly popped in a cast iron pan. This is research based on what they think with just eating that in a whole. So no, if you consume 50 grams of mushrooms in one plate, it's possible, but not for small eaters. So this may be for smaller eaters that eat very small meals based on what we're told for our calorie intake. But when it comes to eating fresh fruits, nuts, seeds, and legumes and vegetables, your calorie intake really doesn't matter at that point. You just eat until you're full and you move on with your day. I don't keep track of my calories. That's why I stay at 160. My body knows where it's to stay. My body has been cleansed. Yet again, living proof. Next slide. Dried green, this is eligible or edible algae, okay? This is the big important study right here. This is what I wanted to share with you guys. All vegans need to know this, all vegetarians, and anybody else who wants to go that route needs to know about this. Excuse me. Dried green laver and purple laver are the most widely consumed edible algae, and they contain substantial amounts of vitamin B12. Approximately 63.6 UGs per 100 grams. Dried weight, dried weight and 32.3 grams of dried weight respectively. So anywhere in between depending on what you get. Some are lower than that. As I've researched other things like I2 wakame, it has about 2.4 per 4 grams. But it does contain, you got to remember, algae contains heavy metals. So when containing heavy metals, some of them are okay in little quantities and you can excrete them. But if you're eating large quantities of these foods, then yeah, it becomes a problem within your life. But you have to have chetting agents. Like lemon pectin is one of them. That'll help get rid of lead, mercury, cadmium, and arsenic. I have on my website, I do have a recipe for that. And I drink it all the time. I make it all the time. Super tasty. But that helps you excrete the metals out of your pee or out of your body and you pee it out. Knowing those things and knowing how to get toxins out happens, and you shouldn't be worried about any of this other stuff as long as if you're doing things properly. Next slide here. A substantial amount of 133.8 UG of dry weight of vitamin B12 was found in dried Korean purple laver, which I do have as well. But seasoned and toasted laver products contain lower amounts of vitamin B12, approximately 51.7 UG of dried weight. So this is after it's cooked and put out on the market. Still has a lot of vitamin B12, doesn't it? And you don't recook this. You just pour hot water on it. And the water in there actually absorbs the B12 and holds it in there. So you don't lose any when you're doing that. Now, a lot of places say that, and this is the misleading part, when you cook your vegetables, you lose your vitamin B12 only. But everything else stays. That's false. And you guys can look wherever you want for this. It is false. But some places where the quick, easy route to searching, they try to misguide you with that. Even nutritional value for nori. If you look up nori, nutritional value, it will tell you 0 B12. Studies say otherwise. Roasted nori is 0. But studies say otherwise. But the places that are giving you these nutrition values on your quick search bar are providing you with the wrong information. Misleading. Researchers of people who do the research is what you should be listening to and what you should be reading. A lot of people will beg to differ, saying, oh, that's all false too. Then what do you want to believe? You have to start somewhere. Your research has to start somewhere. These people don't just write up all these scientific words and all this stuff and word it properly to misguide you. It's there for your public safety, and you still got to look at other researches, which are thousands of documents to get the information you need. At the end of the day, nobody's doing that. Nobody has the time to do that. They're all too busy with their baseball games or watching their favorite episode of Breaking Bad or whatever it is. Eating their junk food because it tastes so good. Nobody's reading. Nobody. Next slide. Now it did say from purple to green laver roasted, the decreases in the vitamin B12 contents of the seasoned and toasted laver products were not due to the loss or destruction of vitamin B12 during the toasted process. So it was because of the changing of the color that reduced it, but it wasn't the actual process of toasting it that changed anything. Next slide. So here I went on Google, did a quick search for all. I did a few of them. B12 in roasted algae. Roasted seaweeds do not contain vitamin B12 and will not substitute in a vegan diet for a synthetic supplement of crucial vitamin. Okay, but the study says differently. So why is, in a quick search, for example like this, misleading? This should be at the bottom of the search or pulled right off the internet, because it should not be on the internet. False information. Next slide. Does roasted vegetables destroy vitamin B12 is what I said in there. No, you don't need to forgo roasted vegetables because of high heat. The fact is that all forms of cooking can destroy some of the nutrients such as vitamin C and vitamin B vitamins in vegetables. That's not true. False again. I'm going to show you why. Next slide. Does roasting destroy vitamin D? Cooking doesn't destroy it. Vitamin B12 doesn't break down. Even at boiling point of water for several hours, a diet low in animal proteins, milk, or dairy foods may increase the need of vitamin B12. Okay? But, so that's misleading. We're all over the place with this answer. I'm trying to find the answer out. It doesn't matter which way you word it. You're trying to find the answer out. What do you believe? They're all different, right? So, let's go to an evidence-based article on Healthline. This is by Franziska Spritzer, medically reviewed by Ali Emerson, which is has a PhD. This has been updated November 7th, 2019. And this is how cooking affects the nutrients contents of foods. It's just one place. I can find many, many places with my skills and expertise of looking into things. Next slide. Scrolling down, you do see that vitamin B vitamins are similarly heat sensitive. Up to 60% of thiamine, niacin, and or niacin and other B vitamins may be lost with meat in simmered and its juices run off. Okay, pay attention to that because the juices run off. We'll get to the plants in a second. So with meat, if you're simmering it or if you're doing it and the juices come out of it and you dry up your meat, well, there goes all your B12. You ain't got none left. And it reduces a lot. Next slide. Sauteed and stir frying. Cooking for a short time with water prevents the loss of vitamin Bs. An addition of fat improves the absorption of plant compounds and antioxidants. Wow. So this is why when you deep fry, if you want your omega-3s or your omega-6s, sorry, you go and stir fry your green peppers, green bell peppers, and you'll get your omega-6s. For anybody out there who thought where to get it, that's where you get them, is from that. But don't use oils on it. You put it in a cast iron pan, you cover it, and every 2 seconds, you just shake it around, and the water content comes out of it and sautés it. Okay? It makes it nice and soggy. Then you pull it to the side, you put a little bit of coconut oil on it when the heat is down and right off, and that will make it nice and flavored. You never cook with oil. Never deep fry with oil. If you ever looked up different types of oil and the chemical changes that happens at different temperature, increases of different temperatures, horrible things happen. I never cook with oil. I put it on afterwards. Same with my mashed potatoes. I put my coconut oil after it's off the stove and it's just warm potatoes. And then I mix it around. It's just fine. You don't need to put it in there while you're cooking and mash it up real good. And your sauteed vegetables, you don't need butters. You don't need oils to saute it. The actual covering of the pan creates moisture, and that moisture is what sautés your vegetables, okay? Then you add your oils afterwards. Next slide, steaming. Steaming is one of the best cooking methods for preserving nutrients, including water-soluble vitamins, which are sensitive to heat and water. Well, next slide. Is vitamin B12 water-soluble? Vitamin B12 is water-soluble vitamin, so any unused amount will exit the body through the urine, generate up to 1,000 mcgs a day, and oral tablet to treat deficiency is considered safe. Well, forget all that. And that was from the Harvard University there. But at the end of the day, people, vitamin B12 is water soluble. You cook it properly. It does not leave it. Even if you roast it, it's still in there, regardless of which way you want to look at it. So anybody out there who's saying that you don't get it after cooking it, you're fake news. And you need to just stop it. Because you're misleading people on a healthy diet and scare them away just so they go and run and get a dietary supplement. That's not the answer. And I have proved it with an additive-free diet. Next slide. Back to the study. Digestion experiments indicated that the estimated digestion rate of vitamin B12 from dried purple laver was approximately 50% at pH 2.0. So I don't know if anybody's ever looked into certain organs, certain digestive, certain foods that need acidic properties. Your body has to have some sort of acidic properties in your body in order to operate and function properly. Please look into it. You're going to find some really good information there on how to provide your foods properly in your body. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I need this. It's got to be alkaline, only alkaline. That's not entirely true. Certain fruits you eat will turn alkaline that are acidic, that have a lot of powerful antioxidants, a lot of vitamins and minerals that help your body, that help those certain organs that need acidic fruits and vegetables. Next slide. 10 years. So this is a study on children, 6 vegan children, for 4 to 10 years suggested that the consumption of nori may prevent vitamin B12 deficiency in vegans. One of the studies was they mixed the purple nori with brown rice and fed it to these children, and it turns out that they were not deficient, and it maintained their B12 levels. So that is a good information to have, because little things like that is what helps out the diet and just knowing it. Next slide. For a long time, it was unclear whether algae have absolute requirement for vitamin B12 growth. So for a long time, until this study right here. So prior to that, all those vegans and vegetarians that did their work and they've been eating their dietary supplements all these years because you don't know the up-to-date information, you have been misguided because you didn't have the information. Here we are with the information, and now that it's provided, kind of raises some alarming issues with what you've been consuming over those years and why you've been consuming it and what's the fillers in those pills. Next slide. Vegans who are lacking vitamin A, or those who are lacking this stuff, the purple laver actually gives you your vitamin A, which is 3,600 UGs of vitamin A, equivalent to provitamin A. So you don't need that. Purple laver will give you all you need. Iron, which is 10.7 mgs, purple laver gives you that. And N3 polysaturated fatty acids, 1.19 grams, which purple laver gives you that as well as vitamin B12 at 77.6 UGs. It also contains a large amount of a potent antioxidant, which is good for your body. So purple laver alone, mixed with your brown rice, mixed with your shiitake mushrooms, and many other things within your meal, is going to give you your B12. That's it. But there is more to it than just that. But let's go on to the next slide. A survey of natural occurring and high vitamin B12 containing plant derived from food sources, showed that nori, which is formed into a sheet and dried, is most suitable vitamin B12 source for vegetarians presently available. That's what they concluded. Through their research of testing it, that's what they concluded. 4 grams of dry purple laver vitamin B12 content is 77 UG 100 per 100 grams of dry weight, supplies the RDA of 2.4 grams or UGs a day. So most people don't know this, and if you do, congrats on you for finding the information, but there is a lot more plants and vegetables and information that I do feel that is necessary for you to learn, which will be in my other parts. Next slide. High levels of vitamin B12 were detected in the commercially available shiitake mushrooms fruited bodies, but the vitamin B12 content significantly varies between 1.3 and 12.7 UGs per 100 grams of dried weight. So it all depends on what it is. So that number I gave you before, 0.6, that could go up, that could go down. It all depends on the actual growing of it. And knowing if it's grown in manure or just fertilized like regular dirt or soils, that makes a huge difference in it as well. We already know that mushrooms absorb vitamin D from the light, from the sunlight. So you're supposed to put them outside and let the caps absorb it, and that will give you more vitamin D as well. Little tricks like that is what helps you through your day. So at the end of the day, people, where are you getting your vitamin B12 from? Are you taking a dietary supplement? Are you trusting all the wrong websites? Are you getting misinformed, misleaded? Are they facts? Did they come from a research paper? Several research papers? And was it cited? This one's been cited by 71 different researchers. It's been cited. So there's more evidence out there. So at the end of the day, folks, please be safe. Follow, like, and share for some more vitamin B12 information. I will be focusing on this for the next few videos. I just want people to have the right information from the soil to the plants to the list of plants that have it, vegetables and fruits that you can eat. I want to provide all this information so people have correct facts and information to keep themselves safe. So the next time, thanks for joining What's in Your Food. Stay fit, have fun. We'll see you on the next one.